This brush was discarded in a warehouse for 20 years with no one paying attention. Everyone thought it was a useless damaged brush. But the man invested all his resources to repair it. Because only he knew. This was a hidden double S level item. It was also related to the legendary warrior Dongfang Shuo of 3,000 years ago. By simply writing martial power in the status bar, it could combine strength, agility and stamina into one. This would then transform into an ultra-rare special ability, martial power. In his past life, Cheng Zihan achieved the title of martial saint using this ability. He guarded humanity and fought in battles his whole life. Before this, a real competitive game called 66 Battle Network emerged. It started as a competition between nations. But with the beginning of the Space League, everything changed dramatically. The mortal struggle between humans and cosmic creatures officially began. Humans representing Earth fought repeatedly and failed. In the end, only 10 nations remained. The survival of humanity is now in imminent danger. But Cheng Zihan, with his powerful martial saint power, single-handedly defeated the ultimate monster of the demotion match. He successfully extended the hope for Earth's survival. However, when the reward for clearing the level appeared, he was excluded from the distribution. Because as a member of Country A's top guild, he was not a true citizen of Country A. He joined Country A after his own country was defeated and destroyed. In others' eyes, Cheng Zihan was nothing but a refugee from a fallen nation, even though he possessed the 3S level skill, the nameless divine art, and reached the 7th spot in the world rankings. He was still not recognized as a true citizen of Country A. He faced disdain and discrimination from others. But what hurt Cheng Zihan the most was that he had to carry the guilt of surviving alone. The condition for victory in this round of the demotion match for humans was that more than half of the players had to survive. However, only Country A and Country B successfully cleared the level. The other 8 countries all failed. In other words, humanity still lost in this demotion match. Next they will face Uruk in the final battle. The losing side will be completely wiped out. Upon hearing the name Uruk, the Saintess quickly said they needed Cheng Zihan's help. It was thanks to him that they won the last battle against Uruk. However, the guild leader stubbornly refused to listen, insisting it wasn't necessary. They would go into battle with the current forces alone. After all, he was the world's #1 mage. He didn't need Cheng Zihan to deal with a few Uruk. But he quickly paid the price for his arrogance. With the guild leader's death, the situation turned dire in an instant. Uruk unleashed his full power, slaughtering the remaining players. Humanity faced total defeat. And defeat meant complete eradication. The world began to head toward destruction. Humanity was completely wiped out from the universe. But unexpectedly, Cheng Zihan survived. His 3S level nameless divine art resisted the eradication. It was at this moment that he realized how powerful the nameless divine art was. He couldn't help but regret not mastering this power sooner. Would things have been different if he had? At the same time, his existence and thoughts were discovered by the highest ranks of Battle Network. After a vote, they decided to return Cheng Zihan to the beginning of the league. When Cheng Zihan opened his eyes again, he found that he had truly returned to E-Country in 2020. The level on the status bar had also dropped back to level 2. This made him feel an overwhelming sense of excitement. Now for him, this was a perfect opportunity. By making full use of his past life's experience, he could change the future. This time he would protect everyone. And in 2020, E-Country was still very strong, because among the world's top 11 strongest players, the Sword King Yin Shijin from E-Country firmly held one of the top 3 spots. He was E-Country's pride and a national treasure. With this strongest warrior's active performance, E-Country always ranked among the top in the Northeast regional rankings. But what was hard to believe was that Yin Shijin suddenly announced he was leaving E-Country to join D-Country, and changed his name to Yin Tunglong Ping. His departure caused great chaos in E-Country. Since then, E-Country became weak. There was never another Yin Shijin. In the early stages, the Battle Network was just like playing a game. With the start of the Space League 2 years later, dying in the game would mean losing your life in the real world. And countries that fell to the lower ranks would be invaded by monsters and massacred. After Yin Shijin left, E-Country fell to the lower ranks. In the end, it couldn't escape its fate of destruction. At the same time, Yin Shijin was also Cheng Zihan's brother-in-law. But Cheng Zihan still couldn't understand why his sister would fall for such a scumbag. Would everything have been different if his sister were still alive? A moment later, Cheng Zihan looked at the status bar, feeling troubled. Although the timing of his return was perfect, his current stats were still too weak. But thinking about it, it was actually normal. After all, back then he was addicted to drinking and gambling. He couldn't help but lament how foolish he had been. He didn't realize how powerful this F-level talent was. Everyone becomes a player after turning 18, but very few are gifted with a talent. After Cheng Zihan got his F-level talent, he used it to gamble on outcomes. At the time, he didn't know that this talent would only shine after awakening. But his current stats were indeed pitiful. And although he was at level 1, how had he managed to reach level 2? When he saw the bottle on the table, he suddenly remembered. It turned out that he had gotten drunk. He had accidentally mistook the experience potion for liquor. At this moment Cheng Zihan noticed something strange. He actually had a whopping 100,000 points. But before entering the ranking match he hadn't achieved any notable accomplishments. So where did these points come from? But when he opened his inventory his eyes widened. There was an EX level points exchange voucher inside. It turned out this was a special reward given by the Battle Network. Using the exchange voucher would open the points shop. Currently the shop level was 1. There were 2 items available for purchase. One was to expand the status bar. The other was to add a new class slot. You could also use points to upgrade the shop and add more items. But these 2 items weren't useful to him right now. So Cheng Zihan decided to upgrade the shop. The new item was expand inventory. Cheng Zihan wasn't satisfied with this. So he decided to upgrade once more. The new item was add title slot. This item was also not very useful to him. But now he only had 50,000 points left. If he upgraded again he would only have 10,000 left. So he had to make a choice. He could either buy all the unlocked items, or take one last gamble and upgrade the shop to level 4. In an instant he made his decision. He chose to continue upgrading the shop. After all he had always been a gambler. The new item was emergency repair. It could repair broken items. Upon seeing this, a look of disbelief appeared on Cheng Zihan's face. Because this was exactly the item he needed right now. He had successfully won this gamble. Next Cheng Zihan went to Yin Shijin's multifunction room. He opened the Battle Network connector's inventory. Inside was a broken item, Dongfang Shuo's broken brush. This was also the first key that Cheng Zihan needed to obtain. He then used the emergency repair on the broken brush. As the light flashed the brush was successfully repaired. It transformed from an A- level item into a SS level item. It was also related to the legendary 3,000-year-old martial god. But just then a prompt appeared. The tutorial for the copper rank in the Linmeng region is about to begin. 10 seconds remaining to summon participants. Seeing this Cheng Zihan immediately opened the status bar. He picked up the brush and swiftly wrote in the status bar. He elegantly wrote the words martial power. In his past life the reason he became the martial saint ranked 7th in the world was because of this brush which was ignored due to its damage. It gave him the special ability to combine strength, agility and stamina into one. Martial power. At the same time this was the starting point of his awakening. With the countdown reaching 0, Cheng Zihan was connected to the Battle Network's ranking match. This round's task was a survival battle. He would fight against monsters in the arena with 100 players. The survival battle would automatically end when half the players remained. But right now Cheng Zihan was most concerned about his martial power. So he quickly opened the status bar. He saw that the original 3-dimensional attributes had completely disappeared. In their place was martial power. Seeing this Cheng Zihan let out a sigh of relief. And he also unlocked an achievement. He earned 10,000 points. At the same time the system prompted him. You have connected without the Battle Network connector. You will directly feel the pain from within the game. Hearing this Cheng Zihan couldn't help but sigh. It really makes me nostalgic. For this world where you don't have to suffer if you pay. Because at this time, you could use the connector to lessen the pain felt in the game. And Yin Shijin's connector was a high-end model that could reduce 99% of the pain. He would definitely use it well in the future. Then the prompt sounded again. New limited task added. Get first place in the tutorial match. Reward, 1,000 points. Seeing this Cheng Zihan couldn't help but smile. Now that he had martial power, this kind of task was a piece of cake. However the next second a figure suddenly appeared behind him. With a sinister grin the man launched a sneak attack. But soon the smile on the man's face began to fade. His longsword was actually caught between 2 fingers unable to move. Cheng Zihan revealed a cold smile on his face. Thanks for delivering me the first kill. As expected the most fun thing in the game is bullying noobs. Seeing this the man panicked. He couldn't believe that the guy in front of him wearing a vest was able to block his attack with just 2 fingers. He had the A-level talent which gave him agility and speed. At that moment Cheng Zihan suddenly released the sword he was holding. The man immediately lost his balance and fell to the ground in a heap. Cheng Zihan turned his head and said with disdain, "You really think highly of yourself, don't you? Daring to compete in the Linmeng region with such a talent." Hearing this the man felt insulted. He shouted angrily, "You dare to look down on my talent? You think A-level talent is trash?" To this Cheng Zihan merely replied expressionlessly, "Indeed it is." The man's arrogant demeanor instantly made the other man grit his teeth in fury. "Damn bastard, how dare you mock me? You only blocked one of my attacks. If that's the case let me show you my fastest speed." In the next instant a powerful and overwhelming aura erupted. His figure moved like the wind and in the blink of an eye he swung his sword toward Cheng Zihan. However his lightning-fast strike was evaded by Cheng Zihan with even greater speed. Man immediately launched a series of follow-up attacks. But each of his attacks was easily dodged by Cheng Zihan. Although Cheng Zihan appeared to be handling it with ease now. But his body couldn't keep up with his mind. After all being suddenly dropped back to level 2 was a bit hard to adjust to. However, this wasn't really a problem for him. He was no longer the person he once was. Now he was far stronger than before. Now he could easily see through the man's movements. Then Cheng Zihan suddenly turned around and slashed with a knife hand. He immediately knocked the man's longsword out of his hand. While the man was still dazed, Cheng Zihan leapt up and caught the flying sword. With a swift motion he thrust the sword back. It pierced the man's throat and drove into the ground. As the sword was pulled out, the man was defeated and fell, gradually disappearing. The man shouted in frustration, "I will definitely defeat you next time. Just you wait." Seeing this, Cheng Zihan let out a light sigh. "This is great. Even if I die I can come back." At the same time the prompt appeared. First kill completed in the tutorial match. Reward, 100 points. With the man's death, Cheng Zihan's weapon also disappeared. Next he needed to speed up. To get first place he would need at least 5 kills. He then turned his attention to a nearby monster that no one was challenging. Because in Battle Network each monster only counted as 1 kills. You needed to kill 10 monsters to count as 1 kill. So most people would avoid them, only targeting other players, especially monsters like Yurik that appear in groups. Only a fool would provoke them. But at that moment another task appeared in front of Cheng Zihan. Eliminate the Yurik monster group. Reward, 500 points. Seeing this, Cheng Zihan was a bit surprised. 500 points were 5 times the first kill reward. Since that's the case he had no reason not to accept the task. He stretched his muscles preparing to start hunting. After all, monsters were still monsters. Compared to the real Yurik these were nothing. In the next instant Cheng Zihan leapt forward toward the monster group. Yurik, seeing this man in a vest, was shocked. Is this guy crazy? He actually wants to fight us? Brothers, kill him. The Yurik immediately raised his axe, charging energy into it. He swung it fiercely at Cheng Zihan, who was charging in. Facing the flying axe, Cheng Zihan remained completely calm. With a swift motion he caught it firmly in his hand. Then he raised his arm, gathering power. With great force he hurled the axe toward the monster group. The immense power caused the monsters to panic. At the same time Cheng Zihan's figure flashed. In an instant he appeared in the midst of them. The axe in his hand swept out like lightning. It immediately cut down a group of Yurik in front of him. Such a terrifying sight left the Yurik dumbfounded. After regaining their senses they charged toward Cheng Zihan. However, their attacks were completely ineffective against the man before them. Instead Cheng Zihan effortlessly dealt with them one by one. But soon the axe in his hand couldn't withstand his violent force. With a loud crash it broke in two. Looking at the broken handle in his hand, Cheng Zihan couldn't help but complain. "You guys should really bring some better weapons to fight. You're huge but your weapons are trash." Seeing this, the Yurik suddenly became excited. "This guy's weapon is broken. Let's kill him now." All the Yurik charged forward, launching their attacks. In response, Cheng Zihan calmly stepped forward with his right foot. "You guys are still as stupid as ever." In the next instant, carrying a heavy force, he stomped down. The resulting shockwave hit the incoming monster group. Then Cheng Zihan grabbed a longsword. His figure moved like lightning, charging into the monster group. He ruthlessly reaped the lives of the Yurik in front of him. In just a few breaths, the monster group was slaughtered, leaving only one remaining. At this point the remaining Yurik were filled with fear. This guy is definitely not human. He's a monster. With the final strike, Cheng Zihan successfully completed the task of eliminating the Yurik group. He earned a reward of 500 points. His level also increased, but this took Cheng Zihan by surprise. Because he remembered that experience points were usually calculated after the game ended. It seems it's because his level is still too low. But this is actually a good thing for him. He could use this opportunity to increase his stats. He began thinking about which stat to upgrade. He ultimately decided to increase his martial power first. This special stat combines strength, agility and stamina into one. Even if its value is the same as other stats, it can still deliver at least double the effect. It could be considered as a cheat-like existence. But there was another reason Cheng Zihan valued martial power. That's because he needed at least 30 martial power to qualify for the nameless divine art. However, martial power has a fatal flaw. It can't be raised just by allocating points. But what Cheng Zihan didn't expect was that he had actually succeeded in upgrading it. This surprised him greatly, because allocating points only increases the growth limit. Martial power can only increase through extensive training and rich combat experience. Although he wasn't sure about the current situation, it was still a good thing for him. At that moment, a woman from a distance suddenly shot an arrow at him. Cheng Zihan noticed it instantly. He quickly turned and dodged the incoming arrow. Cheng Zihan's gaze sharpened as he looked toward the source. He saw a woman standing with a man. They had already made Cheng Zihan the target of their hunt. Cheng Zihan immediately realized the two had teamed up. This wasn't an uncommon situation. Although the survival battle map was meant for everyone to fight alone, the system had not explicitly prohibited participants from cooperating. From the badges on their clothes, they both belonged to one of the top 10 guilds of each country, the Turtle Guild. One was a warrior, the other was an archer. They formed a combination of close and ranged attacks. Since they were from the same guild, their coordination was naturally seamless. At this point, the system prompt indicated there were 60 survivors left. The tutorial was about to end. This meant that from now on, as long as he played cautiously, he could make it to the end. But they insisted on challenging me. Either they were very confident in their strength, or they completely underestimated me, judging by how carefree they seemed. It was clear they were the latter. Then Cheng Zihan brought up the leaderboard. Currently he held the top spot with a slight advantage of 4 kills. They were actually just in time. This way he could secure first place. Just as they were still chatting and laughing, fine soundless sword light flashed in an instant. Cheng Zihan instantly killed the woman. This scene immediately scared the man beside her. At this moment the man completely lost his previous ease and calm. Fear caused his body to tremble uncontrollably. This guy actually killed that woman so easily? Cheng Zihan's figure flickered and appeared behind the man. He swung his sword, fiercely striking the man. But soon he felt something was wrong. His attack couldn't break through the man's armor. Seeing this, the man immediately became arrogant again. With that trashy weapon of yours, there's no way you can pierce my B-grade armor. But the next second, Cheng Zihan's attacks came down like a violent storm. Each strike landed in the same spot, causing cracks in the armor to continuously shatter. With a loud crash, the defense was completely broken. Cheng Zihan gave a sinister smile. Are you two playing house? Let me give you a proper lesson. As the ranking match ended, Cheng Zihan secured first place with 6 kills. This was an outcome no one had expected. A second-tier player who hadn't joined any guild, wearing a worn-out vest and sweatpants, almost participating in the ranking match with nothing but his fists. He still managed to secure 6 kills and take the top spot. Is this really the ability a second-tier player can have? Where did he come from? Meanwhile, 2 women from the Twin Stars Guild were watching the match replay. They were watching Cheng Zihan's astonishing performance on the field. Minister Ji Shenyan said nervously, "This guy is really scary. Fortunately your luck is good. It's lucky that the person didn't spawn next to you just now. Otherwise forget about second place. You might have been eliminated as soon as you entered. Next time you meet him you'd better stay away." Li Shenyan was referring to Ren Jiaying from the Twin Stars Guild. She was a renowned holder of an S-level talent. She was also a potential asset sent by the ambitious Twin Stars Guild. She lived up to expectations with her excellent performance in the ranking match. She became a favorite to win the championship in everyone's eyes. However, Cheng Zihan's appearance directly shocked the ranking match. On the other side, Cheng Zihan looked happily at the constant prompts appearing in front of him. You've secured first place in the tutorial match. Experience rewards increased by 50%. Level increased to 6. Then he allocated the 3 ability points he just earned to martial power. His martial power went from 6 points to 9 points. And there was also the title he earned in the ranking match, the Dominator of the Tutorial. Although this title's effect can only be used in the bronze rank, the benefits are quite high. It allows you to master other abilities, and with this, his martial power increased from 9 points to 10 points. Even his magic power increased by 1 point. With 10 points of martial power, he would easily dominate the bronze rank. Once he reaches level 25, he can start the promotion matches from bronze to silver. For now he only needed to focus on leveling up. At this moment Cheng Zihan suddenly had a bright idea. He remembered something important. He still hadn't advanced his class. Once he reached level 5 he could choose a basic class. Class advancement is an important moment for a classless player to gain a profession. Choosing. In his previous life Cheng Zihan had chosen the warrior class. If he chose warrior again it would certainly be easier. But now after being reborn he had access to the points shop. He could choose another profession by consuming 10,000 points. He could always add a warrior class at any time. Thinking of this, Cheng Zihan couldn't help but laugh. This is really a great deal. He immediately made his first class choice. The screen changed. The bronze ranking match began again. This time the task was, defend the city, protect the crystal and survive the zombie horde. Protect the crystal and survive the zombie pile. The battle will last until only 5 towers remain. This battle will be a 4-player team match. The warrior is Ren Jiaying from the Twin Stars Guild. The archer is a man from the LK Guild with B-grade equipment. The mage is a guy who hasn't joined any guild. It has very strong equipment. Now only the most crucial role on this map remains. The support. Because after all, defending the city is a battle of endurance. So a support who can replenish energy is especially important. But what Ren Jiaying didn't expect was that her last support teammate was actually Cheng Zihan, who had just appeared. It turns out that 2.5 hours ago, Cheng Zihan had chosen support as his first class. Even the system gave him a warning that the compatibility was low. But he still prioritized choosing support. And he had only one reason for doing this. That was to unlock the power that only the support class could provide. Divine Strength. This was one of the prerequisite factors for the special ability value that needed to be cultivated. However, Divine Strength not only takes effort to cultivate, but unlike other abilities it cannot be improved through training. Divine strength can only be obtained by exchanging it with remaining ability points. But Cheng Zihan spent all his points on martial power to gain the nameless divine art. However, he knew another little-known, but very effective method of obtaining divine strength. At this moment the other three teammates looked at the support dressed in this manner and felt quite surprised.